Hello and thank you for clicking on another one of my videos. I am Screen Scene Guru coming at you with the full movie review. This is on the film from 2011 titled Priest. This is starring Paul Bettany, who a lot of people know right now as Vision in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I thought this was a very interesting story. I got a little bit of notes written down right here to kind of go over. But I watched this last night for the first time. I put in the Blu-ray disc and I watched it from start to finish. And I thought it was fantastic. Interesting take on vampires, a vampire story, a monster movie. For those of you that aren't aware, if you haven't seen any trailers or anything, I've heard about this movie for years. I just hadn't had time to watch it, and then now I just popped the disc in. I watched it. I liked it a lot. Um, so like I was saying, so this had a budget of $60 million to begin with. It had a lot of money to go into, but unfortunately, it did not do so well, seeing that it only made 78 million back. So it was a flop. It flopped pretty good, but it was a religious, interesting religious film on the church and fighting vampires. I did a little bit of background information into it, and it looks like it's a Korean comic book story that they adapted, which is interesting, very far out. But you can kind of tell from the opening sequence in the movie that it had a very interesting comic book start. And I have a bit of video on my Instagram, which you can go over and check that out for those of you following me there. But yeah, so under category, it would fall under the action, fantasy, horror, sci-fi, thriller. So that's very interesting for those of you that are all about that. It had a wide range of characters in it. Like I said, it follows the story of basically humanity had fought vampires throughout history. They had developed technology like guns, and eventually they built these dome cities, and all the people hid behind the church and the fact that they believed they were protected. But really, the vampires had grown in number again and were coming back. They also went into how the church's greatest weapon were these priests who were excellent fighters at hunting vampires, but after a while, they disbanded them, very similar to like the Star Wars Jedi Order. They got rid of all of them, and of course, the threat returned, so they needed them again. But interesting story because this follows Paul Bentley's character. His family is outside in like the wastelands of one of these districts, not protected, and they are threatened when a cop comes into town and warns them about his niece going missing. He goes before their order, their council, and asks for permission to be reinstated, and they threaten him with being basically shunned and kicked out if he leaves the city. He disobeys them, and he goes out to find his niece and kick some ass, vampires. So yeah, it was a really good story. We got to see also the introduction of Kaulurban as one of the priests that comes back as a cowboy vampire. So that's very interesting to see if you guys love him. I always like to see him show up in things. So that was really cool to see. Different portrayal of vampires. Like I said, they're more creature featurey. When they show off the queen, she kind of looked like a demogorgon from Stranger Things. So that was interesting to see. But yeah, moving on from there, we've also got maggieq showed up, which I really like her from Nikia. I believe that was a show she was in as a spy. She's been in a whole lot of other movies. Like she was in, I believe, one of the Bonds. So yeah, really cool to see her show up as one of the priests that helps out Paul Bentley's character. Um, we also got to see, like I said, Kaulurban, but also Brad Dourif, the bad guy from Lord of the Rings. I believe he first showed up in Twin Towers. He kind of was like spilling, mischief and telling tales in the king's ear while the king of Rohan was sick. They had to run him out of there. So I thought it was cool to see a Lord of the Rings actor, other than Kaulurban, also show up in this. That was kind of cool to see. Like I said, it came out in 2011, which might go to show why it didn't make so much money in the monster horror genre era. That was still fresh and relatively new stuff. But going into the director right now, we've got Scott Stewart, who I've heard of him before. He's done other projects like he's also done work with Paul Bettany before in Legion from 2010, And that was a different story about him also being working for God. Basically, they had him as an angel that was cast out to Earth, and he was dealing with the rapture. Um, and there's a lot of people in that. For instance, we had Dennis Quaid, the young guy from the Tokyo Drift was in that. So that was really cool to see them being out in a diner in the middle of nowhere dealing with the apocalypse. And Paul Bettany's angel shows up to help them out, telling them if they can raise this child, there'll be hope for the future. So that was interesting to see that he directed that in 2010. Then he did this Priest movie, which I'm talking about currently, in 2011. And then in 2013, he did Dark Skies, which, if you guys have not checked that out, that's a really good alien horror thriller movie about children being abducted. So go check that out. But it looks like that was the last thing he did. And he hasn't done any projects since. So I'm waiting for him to come out with some new stuff. But what do you guys think of this director? What do you think of his work? Do you like it? I really liked his stuff. Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure to like and subscribe for future videos, guys. I'm going to be trying to come out with, back-to-back videos daily. So be sure to check those out. But without further ado, thank you for clicking on this video and have a good one. Bye-bye.